What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 19 of the Starship Evo build on the U.S.S. Revengeance. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we got about a 24-minute video, somewhat of a long one. Going to be getting some stuff done on our interior, picking up from where we left off in last week's episode. Now that we have our staircase determined in the lower hall, we can start to shape the room out a little bit more and get some detail in. We're going to start off with doing some work on the warp core, and we're going to get some detailing done in different sections of the interior, and then we're going to make our way down into the belly of the ship and build out our ship computer, which should be a lot of fun. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into this, and you can see that I'm in the back section of the lower hull, and I'm primarily basically where the warp core is going to be. Obviously this is going to look a little bit different than how it looks on typical Federation ships. This is going to be like an elongated um, horizontal one rather than a vertical one, but this will actually be a couple of decks tall. So this is kind of one of those things where I'm using the space that I have available to me to build this thing out, and just trying to come up with something that looks a little bit cool. And I was just thinking about, like, like I could do like this ribbing going around the warp core here, and that might not look too bad. So that's just kind of what I'm going with for right here. And I've already got my symmetry tool in place, and just kind of going from there uh, to get this out of the, get this built out. And of course, you obviously want to have that symmetry tool in place to make life a little bit easier on yourself when you're building this thing. See, just with that there, um, with the 4 rows of the ribbing that we added, it looks a lot more detailed than it was before, rather than just having a plain old block there. Um, this is kind of like also a case of like a little bit of exploratory building, trying to get an idea of what I want to do and if it's going to look good. So I'm not necessarily set on anything that I'm adding right now. I'm just kind of, building with what I feel and seeing how it turns out. Sometimes you just got to throw something down, and if it looks good, you can run with it. That doesn't look too bad. Looks very mechanical, has an industrial look to it, which goes right in line with what I'm kind of going for the interior on this ship. The reason I'm going through these walls right now is I'm trying to think if I can bring back my wall any here without going on the outside. You can see this, that last block. I could take that out. And that doesn't look too bad. It actually doesn't look half bad at all. And it kind of goes with the shape of the room, And this is kind of something that I've learned from Minecraft, going with the pattern that you have previously established on your build. So at this point, I'm just looking at the shapes that I have and thinking of how I can transition that from room to room. And this is kind of one of the ways that you bring the full interior of your ship together when you start identifying those different build cues and then transitioning that room to room. And the main thing that I'm using for this room, like I just showed a moment ago, is that we're doing different shapes of pretty much triangles, um, giving it very like an edgy look to it. And right now I'm just gonna close in this wall here. We'll have a tiny bit of a gap, but that's okay. There's not going to be anything that we're going to be using on the outside of this area here, although I will have to build a wall here because this is literally right on the outside of where the guns are for the lower hull. And if I just leave it alone, it won't look good. There. See, there's just a little half block of space there, but that's okay. You can have a tiny bit of space. It's not going to hurt it at all. We have a little bit more room up here now. And it goes in line with the rest of the design of our ship. The only thing we have left to do in this area is to close up the floor. And it's like that, boom, done. Now, we will at one point have to go up and kind of redo that staircase area going up into the saucer section of the ship, but we won't be doing that in today's episode. I said at this point we're kind of messing with some of like design cues, loose end design cues that I want to throw in before we get some more detailing done. Um, this area right here is actually going to be reserved for the next deck of the warp core, because when the warp core is completed, it's going to be encompassing up all three decks of the lower hull, which I kind of think is pretty cool. Um, Not something you necessarily see on a lot of Federation ships, maybe like an exception of the Constitution class. Remember, like with the Warp Core on that, it had several decks that you can view it from. You might have been able to do it from the Enterprise D. Don't quote me on that. If that is the case, let me know in the comments section. Because of course, I'm working on the Enterprise D right now on the exterior, but I haven't started up on the interior yet. So there's still some research I have left to do on that, and I'm sure some people are going to ask me, hey, when is the Enterprise D coming out? And I'm actually in the middle of building it right now. And I'm going to touch on that in just a second here. But I do want to get into what I got going on. You can see that I'm working on a wall, literally right next to the doorway going on the outside of the lower hull. You can see that I have built a lip there. And the reason I did that is because I want to make a tuck space that the door slide between. So it looks nice and clean. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with this area yet, but I know that I definitely want to spruce up this whole area and kind of make like more of it like a traditional like airlock entry point. So I'm probably going to build like kind of like an encasement going around this area right here, so it's something I actually have to walk into, to just make it look a little bit nicer. But anyway, I've had a couple people ask me when the Enterprise D is going to come out, and that's something that I'm actively working on as we speak. I'm currently right in the middle of getting that build done on the outside, and I really want to wait until I have the exterior done before I start up the interior. And there's a specific reason why I'm doing that, and that's for two reasons. Um, the main one is I don't want to, God forbid, get stuck on something else, and then I happen to catch up to myself. And the other reason is I want to make sure that when I start the tutorial, the screenshot that you see is going to be at least of the finished product of the outside of the ship. Um, so the Enterprise D is coming, but I'm still heavy in the process of building it. There's a couple of things here and there that have kind of held me up a little bit, that I'm just trying to get right. When the tutorial starts, we'll get into all that, and you'll be able to see a lot of what I'm talking about. But Enterprise D, hands down, is going to be the most complicated and difficult build that I've ever done. Every ship has its own um, challenges, but the Enterprise D has really pushed that to the limits. Now, for those of you that have seen the teaser, you've already got a kind of an idea on where I'm going to go with that. And I'm definitely looking forward to getting that out for you. Um, but it'll be coming soon, and that's really all I can say about it. I'll try to get it out as soon as I can. So hopefully, um, in the not too distant future, sooner rather than later, that'll be starting. Hopefully, in the next week or two, I'll have better set date on when that's going to come out. But pretty much, just give you an idea of one of the reasons why I'm currently being held up with it is I'm trying to get some areas right on the outside top section of the saucer section of Enterprise D. And Enterprise D is a different ship from some of my other Federation ships, so just taking a little bit more care to get that ship right. But I promise you, it'll be worth the wait. And yeah, that's kind of all I want to say about the Enterprise D at that point. That it's coming, and just keep an eye out on that on the YouTube channel. But there's still some more things left to do on the Revengeance, which has been gotten a pretty good reception so far. People have been tuning in to watch this series. I just want to thank you very much for that, because this is a completely made up ship that I've done, and I wasn't really sure if I'd have a lot of people even interested in something like this, or if they just want to see me build build actual ships from Star Trek and whatnot. So this has kind of been like a glorified experiment, and it's worked out really well. So I just want to thank everybody that's taken the time to watch these videos. And there's definitely be more to come on Starship Evo, but I've kind of still been waiting to see what other people want to see me build. If there's other ships that you want to see me build in Starship Evo, be sure to drop a comment below. Let me know what you want to see. If there's any other Federation ships you never know, maybe if I get enough people asking for it, I might just do it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Star Trek. It can be anything nerd related in general. But bear in mind that when I do these videos, I base them off popular view and what everybody would like to see to try to get a little bit more views out of it, and more engagement. Because if I have the max number of people that are interested in it, I'll probably have a little bit more views. So that's kind of my idea behind, or my thinking behind it. But getting into a little bit what I got going on here, you see that we're in the belly of the ship, and we're working on our actual computer core. What's going to become the computer core? I kind of had this like idea that I wanted to have extending um, shelves, or server panels basically that come out that looks like that you can work on it, and that's what I'm kind of doing right here, and I'm attaching everything together so this way it'll be ready to go once I add in the walls. There we go. Want to make sure that all those buttons are going in the same direction. I don't think I'm going to necessarily need all of these. I think by the time this is all said and done, I think I'm going to be settling on 3 aside. And there is a reason for that, and that's because um, these moving switches down below, um, when they come out, the panels, there's just going to be enough room for that. But I want to make it to where I can have buttons and things on it to illuminate it. And the only way I was able to do that is basically every other one, I was going to have to delete one of those. So that's why we're only going to be ending up with 3 on each side. But when it's done, it'll look like it's a full computer core. And this isn't something I necessarily came up with on my own. When I was going through the tutorial on Starship Evo, and the starter ships that they had, one of the ships had something similar like that, where like you can press a button, like this panel opened up and came out towards you, just like you're seeing right here, and had a bunch of like different things on it, mechanisms. It was like, I could do something like that, maybe make it like on slightly a larger scale, a little bit bigger, to make it feel a little bit more like it's a computer core. And see, that's a problem right there, that it works, but it's too close together with this side. So it's not going to pop out the way that it should, because they're literally side by side, and the left side is stopping the right side from opening. So I think at this point, it's either here, right after here, where I decide that, yep, I'm going to do and skip every other row. And it's funny, like it really just works out this way, because doing this now I'm going to have all this extra room to where I can really focus on building out the side panels of the computer core. Okay, so that one works. That second one does not. So I'm going to have to reattach that. Oh, it's working now. Maybe what happened is I just didn't have it snapped in the right way. So I'm going to redo it one more time. I should have went down and to the left and then up. I'm not going to lie, sometimes building on here, going in directions, it still messes with me a little bit. I don't know if anybody else has had that same problem. Um, Even though I've built a couple of ships on here on Starship Evo, just the mechanics on here mess with me a little bit, because I go back and forth between Minecraft and Starship Evo, And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. This feature right here that I can stretch these blocks out, I absolutely love this. Stuff that I'm doing right here is things that like I just wish that I could do in Minecraft for just so many reasons. And they, for whatever reason, never wanted to add it. So I mean, just the fact that I can do this on here, it's pretty incredible. Um, so I don't want it to sound like I'm saying anything negative about it, but it just messes with me a little bit, especially when I go back and forth between the two games because I kind of have to get my bearings real quick, and then I'm like, okay, like I'm good to go now. Yeah, see, now I'm doing it the right way. I'm coming towards us and then going up. That is the way to go. And now we're going to check our work right there. That one's good. Now, even though that we've got the symmetry tool in place, I think this is like the one time where it's not going to place an object down is when it's on that sliding hinge. And this computer consoles that I've added to the left and right, those are just going to be stand-ins until I 100% decide on what I'm going to do. And for right now, we're just going to do the blue light up buttons because that just has a very computery feel to it, and it looks like a grid paneling kind of, and like I dig it. And like there are a couple of other buttons and things that I could have done here, but I really wanted to, when you pop this open, you just see kind of like this circuit board of blue lights. Because again, that goes with the vengeance of the blue lights. Even though I could have done this with some of the other ones, I know with some of the recent updates on Starship Evo, they added in, I believe, the glowing paint that you can do, or the decals, which is very cool. And I have not gotten a chance to mess with that yet. Um, my next build for sure is going to be something that maybe I can use something with that. Maybe, I might have some people ask me to do something from Tron, like a light cycle or something like that. I don't even know if that's possible to do on here, but you know what? I've had a lot of other builds that I've done in the past I did not think were possible to build on this game, and I've been pleasantly surprised. So, I mean, you never know. If that's something you want to see, let me know in the comments section. But I definitely like where this is going right here, and this is relatively simple to do, and that's kind of what I like about it the best. Because sometimes you'll see, ships on Starship Evo where like they just look incredibly difficult to copy, and not that there's anything wrong with that, and like it looks great, but I think one of the things that I wanted to do with the Vengeance is or the Revengeance, is go with something slightly simpler, because now we're getting into the first ship that I'm doing the interior on this scale, kind of a bigger scale, not wanting to go too crazy, but maybe also people that are new to Starship Evo can see and get an idea. Oh, this is something I can add into my ship, fairly simple to do, and when it's done, it looks pretty cool. And I wouldn't even say that you'd be restricted just to using these buttons. If you want to swap it out for something else, you could probably do that. Might have to tweak some things here and there, maybe get rid of another panel and just have um, one less. But I think the concept enough is pretty neat. Now, on this next one here, on the end ones, we're not going to have it on both sides, but all the ones in the middle, we're going to have the blue on both sides. And I think that's going to look pretty awesome when it's done, where you can just hit a switch and, these panels open out one by one. Definitely feels very much so like a computer console. And it doesn't even feel like it, but we've already shot through 18 minutes into today's episode. Still got a couple minutes to go. We got about 6 minutes before I'm going to wrap this up, but this is going to be the last thing that we do on today's episode. Definitely those of you that have been waiting for me to get some more of the detail into the ship, here you go. There's still more stuff to do before I'm going to call this thing done, so definitely bear that in mind. But we are kind of getting to the point where I really want to start thinking about what the next build's going to be for Starship Evo. And I don't know, I've got a couple of ideas. There's some stuff I wanted to do. Um, at some point, I'm probably going to build an Enterprise on here. or at least one of the enterprises, because I've had a couple people ask for that on Starship Evo. And at one point or another, those of you that have been following me since I've been starting out uh, may or may not remember that I was actually working on a a template to make a perfect circle, and I actually figured out how to do it. Like there was one guy um, on Starship Evo that he had. Ironically enough, it was an enterprise that he had done, and he had built a perfect circle. And I messaged him and I asked him how to do it, and like he basically like gave me the gust of it. Um, Long story short, it took me a little while to figure it out, but eventually I did, and I figured out exactly how to make this perfect circle. And like, long story short, like he glitched the game to do it, but I figured it out, and I even made a tutorial for it. I posted online, and I kid you not, same day that I posted the video, they released a patch removing that ability to do that from the game. And I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit salty about that because I kid you not, I spent a month trying to figure out how to make a perfect circle on Starship Evo in preparation of building not only the Enterprise but other Federation ships. So that kind of threw a wheel or a wrench in my wheel, so to speak, pun intended. And I haven't done too much on Starship Evo since then because of that. But with that being said, I still really enjoy this game, and I'm going to be doing more stuff on here because at this point, gotten over it. It's over. It's done with. But I would like to see them add an official feature like that into this game. I know that they started the game more off of blocks in the beginning. Like if you're not familiar with Starship Evo and you're seeing this for the first time, or maybe you are, you may not know about Space Wanderers, which is what this precursor of Starship Evo was, and it was more on the scale of like I think Minecraft as far as how the blocks looked and things like that. But they've really, from what I've seen, the progression of the game, it really seems like they're veering off in more of a 3D world. And if you're going to do that, why not have perfect circle building mechanics on here? Um, because obviously people have taken the time to master different building techniques to try to pull this off, but then you patch it to take it out. So, I mean, this is something obviously people want. And I think that hopefully if the developer doesn't hear little old me talking about this, hopefully enough people start to talk about it to express interest in it, so that or the developer that makes this game sees it and realizes, hey, this is something I need to add. Because if I have a gripe with Minecraft, it's that at the end of the day, they don't really add stuff that the community has asked for. They add all these different texture packs that nobody asked for just to make some money. But like, it's little things like, for example, colored half slabs is something that I've wanted forever on Minecraft. And I actually went on the Mojang forums and I found a suggestion thing, and I was going to add it. And I realized, because I did a search, that over 15 to 20,000 people have already not only comment on someone else's post about it, but they've upvoted it. And this was something that was from like 4 or 5 years ago, and they still have yet to add it in the game. And just think of what they'd be able to do if they did add that in the game, all the different things you'd be able to build with. So, I hope that that's something that the developer of Starship Evo really takes into consideration, things that the community really wants to see. And I know that I'm not alone in saying this, but having more freedoms in building and different types of building pieces, I think would be a huge step in the right direction. Not only that, just the ability to go on actually visit other planets in the game, and have more of the space pirates to fight with, and maybe uh, NPCs and NPC villages. Like, I think that there's a lot of things that they can learn from seeing other, or from looking at other games and what they don't have. Like, between Minecraft and No Man's Sky. This game has a ton of potential to deliver something that really no other game that's out there right now is doing. So that's kind of enough of my rant on it. This is just kind of some of the things I really want to see them add into this game. And if they do, I feel it like this is going to blow up and be one of the main builder games that are out there right now. Um, Even in its current state, it's pretty impressive, but it needs some stuff to really make it stand out. But I enjoy the building mechanics enough on here that I can do stuff that are pretty awesome. But end of the day, after I build all these ships, there's not that much that I can do with them other than fly around and shoot rocks and shoot at the few NPCs that I see or spawn in. So hopefully they take that in consideration. But anyway, looking at the finished product here, getting into what we got going on, our computer panels, this looks pretty awesome, I gotta say. We built like a little housing unit directly above it, gave a little bit of shape. Our computer consoles on the sides are a little doo-doo. There's something to be desired. We're gonna have to do some more work on those in the next couple of episodes, but we have run out of time today. We've shot through 24 episodes, getting a couple of things done here and there, but the computer core is the main focus. But there's still more work to do on it. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, hey, help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And everybody that takes the time to watch these videos, you're awesome. New subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my Starship Evo builds dropping on Mondays and my Minecraft videos dropping Tuesdays through Fridays. And those videos typically drop at 7 p.m. Eastern, although right now my Minecraft videos are on a hiatus if you're just seeing this video right when it released. But if it's an older video or you're seeing it at a later time, be sure to check my channel for new videos that are coming out. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you in the next episode.